try to be objective with all of my sports coverage, and listen, Jacy Sheldon objectively should be suspended for this play. I just don't know in what world, in what universe you watch that play back and you go, that was a basketball play. She's trying to make a basketball move, especially with all the angles of this play.
The calls for justice are growing louder with each passing day. Fans throughout the basketball world are fed up and demanding accountability. Outrage has swept through the WNBA community after Jacy Sheldon's brutal hit on Caitlin Clark in an incident many believe could have derailed the career of the league's most prominent star. Now there's a unified cry for Sheldon to face steep financial penalties for her reckless and dangerous actions.
Every time Caitlin Clark takes the court, her opponents act like they've been booked for a main event brawl. The WNBA is doing nothing about it. Opponents aren't playing ball. They're strategically ambushing her. They're trying to injure her. Opponents bring chaos. She brings composure. And what Sophie did last night is completely valid. The WNBA has to do something about this.
The outrage is igniting a firestorm across social media and sports forums. As fans rally behind one clear demand, the WNBA must hit Jacy Sheldon with a hefty fine to send a strong, unmistakable message. If the league refuses to protect its biggest star through consistent officiating, then it has a responsibility to ensure that the financial consequences are severe enough to make anyone think twice before going after Caitlin Clark again.
Jacy Sheldon. There's a legitimate hatred there. If you guys have heard this Ohio State, this 2023 Ohio State hated that Irish. And it's Jacy Sheldon, who was Caitlin Clark's direct matchup in these games. Like I tweeted out, forget Angel, forget Dejanay, this is Caitlin Clark's one true rival.
What should have been a routine Tuesday night matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun quickly turned into yet another disturbing example of Caitlin Clark being targeted with little to no protection from the league. This time, the hit was so blatant and reckless that even casual viewers couldn't ignore the clear intent behind Jacy Sheldon's actions raising serious questions about how long the WNBA will continue to look the other way.
Funny thing about that whole Caitlin and Jacy situation last night is it's like on a if you know thing. These two have been running a friendly fade on the court for like the last 4 years. They played in college, had great battles, so I'm not surprised last night happened.
Jacy Sheldon intentionally poked Caitlin Clark in the eye during a defensive play. A dangerous move that could have caused serious, long-term harm to the league's most valuable asset. What made the incident even more disturbing was the smug, unapologetic grin on Sheldon's face afterward. Fans wasted no time calling it what it was, not a fluke or accidental moment in the heat of the game, but a deliberate, targeted act against the very player who has single-handedly revived national interest in the WNBA.
You know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so, at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do, and I'm a team player, so it's all good.
If you're finding this coverage compelling, don't forget to subscribe. What followed the initial eye poke was just as troubling. After jabbing Clark in the eye, Jacy Sheldon escalated the aggression, grabbing Clark's arm and digging her nails into her skin, a blatant foul that somehow went unnoticed by the officials. And just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, Marina Mabrey entered the fray, blindsiding Clark with a shove from behind while she was still reeling from the earlier blow. The lack of calls from the referees only added fuel to the growing outrage.
Look at it from behind or from the side. It's so obvious that she straight up leapt out towards Caitlin and got her right in the eye. And the more I try and watch it back and you try to be objective, there is no world where this was a basketball play. And yes, she was playing tough defense on Caitlin up until that point, but she leapt forward, and it's not like it's defensible where you can say she tried to get the ball, because Her hand at that point was so far away from where the ball was. It's not like Caitlyn was dribbling the ball up near her face. How she was not ejected for this, I don't know. The broadcast was talking about it, and that's why Sophie Cunningham even had the opportunity to hard foul her at the end. I don't know what you do, but the league's got to do something.
The fallout from Sheldon's attack exposed just how deeply fans' frustrations have been simmering over the years. Within hours, social media erupted with outrage. Calls for harsh disciplinary action flooded timelines, ranging from hefty fines to full-season suspensions. The hashtag ban Jacy Sheldon quickly began trending across multiple platforms. While Caitlin Clark's supporters swarmed Sheldon's Instagram with a wave of backlash, comments slammed her as unprofessional, bitter, and even questioned whether she deserves a place in any professional league at all.
How we stopped fighting, we thought they meant the WNBA. What is going on? Protect Caitlin Clark at all costs, please. Enough of this. Please.
Even major media personalities are adding their voices to the growing outrage. On The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon directly called out WNBA leadership, saying, "What is going on in the WNBA? Protect Caitlin Clark at all costs. Please, enough of this." When late-night hosts start weighing in, it's clear the issue has gone beyond the court and into the cultural mainstream. Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy was even more scathing, branding the attackers as jealous loser punks and sarcastically suggesting they join a rec league where no one cares about you. This level of national media scrutiny is exactly what the WNBA wants to avoid public exposure of their consistent failure to protect the league's biggest star.
Listen, bring Caitlin Clark to the NBA right now, because the refs ain't gonna protect her. She only got one teammate, and that's her, who gonna do something about it. Like, yo, yesterday, that's malice in the palace activity. Call for it. That y'all should have been throwing hands all over the place. How do you get poked in the eye, then get thrown to the ground, and then you receive a technical foul? And don't none of your teammates want to step up, fight, squabble, none of that. They just looking like yo, it's been, we know that y'all been targeting Caitlin Clark now. Now I'm even watching, I'm like, hold on, what? Like, how are y'all letting this happen? How are y'all not protecting this girl? Now, she clearly is a superstar, right? But there's plenty superstars in the WNBA, and don't none of them get treated the way Caitlin Clark get treated, huh? Y'all gonna mess up and ruin the whole numbers, your ratings, your sponsor, all that, if y'all don't have Caitlin Clark in y'all's league. So y'all better start acting right. I'm telling you.
To grasp why fans are calling for such severe consequences for Sheldon, you have to understand the immense value Caitlin Clark brings to the WNBA. The numbers speak volumes, and they reveal a league riding on the back of a single superstar. According to Dr. Ryan Brewer, an associate professor of finance at Indiana University Columbus, Clark was responsible for an astonishing 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity during just her rookie season. That's over a quarter of the league's financial performance, driven by one player who remarkably earned only $76,535 in her first year. Brewer's projections for 2025 are even more jaw-dropping. He estimates Clark could generate nearly $1 billion in economic impact this season alone. That's a billion with a B, a figure that eclipses the entire financial history of women's professional basketball. When one athlete accounts for that kind of revenue, failing to protect her isn't just negligent, it's a potential financial disaster for the league.
This has been a very contentious 12 hours in the game. A lot of people on ESPN saying ridiculous things like Monica Nutt saying she had no problem with Marina Mabry's foul. And I look at that in comparison to the Sophie Cunningham foul, which I have seen people say has no place in the league. Unsportsmanlike, when that actually is a lot more sportsmanlike than the Marina Mabry. Marina Mabry was completely disconnected from the play. Had nothing to do with it. There was no play even going on with Marina Mabry.
The WNBA's response to the Sheldon incident has been widely slammed as weak and deeply disappointing. Sheldon was handed a flagrant one, foul resulting in a meager $2,000 fine. Marina Mabry's technical was later upgraded to a flagrant 2, costing her just $400. To put that in perspective, these fines are less than what many people spend on a weekend dinner. Sophie Cunningham, who had the courage to stand up for Caitlin Clark, was not only given a flagrant 2 during the game, but also slapped with an additional undisclosed fine by the league. The message is loud and clear. Attack Caitlin Clark, and you'll get a slap on the wrist. But defend her and prepare to be punished. It's a system that feels completely upside down. Fans aren't just angry, they're mobilizing. Multiple petitions demanding stricter penalties have surfaced online, quickly gathering hundreds of signatures. The consensus is overwhelming. The current fine structure is laughably inadequate for such serious offenses. Across social media, campaigns are pushing for fines in the tens of thousands, arguing that anything less than a month's salary isn't a true deterrent. Some are even calling for a portion of those fines to be paid directly to Caitlin Clark as compensation for the repeated, unchecked targeting she's endured on the court.
You having Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent. She was massively successful in college, and that's transcended into the WNBA, where she's leaps and bounds above pretty much most every player there. You're allowing her to get beaten up on the regular during games, flagrant fouls, people trying to take her eye out. That's happened a couple different times last year and this year. And you're not protecting your...
The argument for stronger protection of Caitlin Clark is undeniable from both a financial and player safety standpoint. Had Jacy Sheldon's eye poke resulted in serious injury to Clark's vision, the WNBA could have faced a catastrophic loss of hundreds of millions in revenue. From a business perspective, the league's current approach makes absolutely no sense. They're sitting on the most transformative figure in women's sports history, a player who has single-handedly boosted attendance, skyrocketed TV ratings, and driven merchandise sales through the roof. Yet, the league continues to allow her to be openly targeted by players acting on grudges and personal agendas. Teams struggle to sell tickets unless Clark is in town. TV viewership triples when she plays. Cities are literally changing venues to handle the crowd she brings. The logical business move would be to protect that kind of asset with real consequences, stiff financial penalties that make it clear targeting. Clark won't be tolerated. Just look at the numbers. The Indiana Fever's franchise valuation soared from $90 million to $340 million in a single year, astonishing $4 billion in projected long-term impact, largely thanks to Clark's presence. When that much is riding on one player, issuing a mere $2,000 fine for a dangerous foul isn't just soft tits financially reckless.
Caitlin Clark is not disrespectable. That's not even a word that I'm just using for the point of my video. You cannot disrespect the nucleus of women's basketball and act like it's not going to be a problem. And, oh, Caitlin Clark can do this, but other people can't. You goddamn right. Because she's the center of women's basketball. We've said this a million times. Clark changed the game. She is the nucleus, the center, the black hole. Everything revolves around Clark with women's basketball, man. Because
beyond just punishing Sheldon, many fans are now calling for Caitlin Clark to receive direct compensation for the abuse she's repeatedly endured. The reasoning is simple. If a player is being targeted more aggressively and more frequently than anyone else in league history, and that targeting stems from her massive value to the league, then she deserves more than just her standard salary. Clark is earning just $78,000 this season, a figure that's laughably small compared to the nearly $1 billion in economic activity she's expected to generate for the WNBA. That kind of return on investment would make any CEO ecstatic. Yet the league continues to let their most valuable asset take hits without meaningful protection. Some fans are proposing a protection bonus system, where any player who commits a flagrant foul against Clark must forfeit a percentage of their salary directly to her. Others argue the league itself should provide additional compensation, acknowledging that Clark is enduring treatment far outside the bounds of normal competition, considering her unprecedented impact on the WNBA's growth and profitability. Establishing a compensation and protection framework tailored specifically